Mark chapter 4, verse 35 to verse 41 says, as evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, let's cross over to the other side of the lake. So they took Jesus in the boat and started out, leaving the crowds behind, although other boats followed. But soon a fierce storm came up. High waves were breaking into the boat, and it began to fill with water. Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion. The disciples woke him up, shouting, "Teacher, don't you care that we are going to drown?" When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Silence, be still." Suddenly, the wind stopped and there was a great calm. Then he asked them, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" Now, the way the disciples reacted to the storm is normally how we react to the storms of life. Diba? They reacted in such a way that they were shouting. They were stressed. It was a sign of stress and panic. Notice their words, "Don't you care, Jesus?" Now, doesn't this sound like us sometimes? Lord, don't you care? Sometimes when we go through big problems, sometimes when we experience big problems, or when we experience prolonged problems, sometimes we think God doesn't care. Sometimes we think God doesn't know what you're going through and He doesn't care. But Jesus does care, and He does know. And if I can insert verse 6 of John chapter 6 in this story of the disciples, it would read that Jesus was testing His disciples, for He already knew what He was going to do. Jesus was not asleep at the back of the boat because He did not care. Jesus wasn't asleep in the back of the boat because He was unaware. Not because He didn't care, but because He knew what He was going to do. Because He knew it was coming. He knew it was coming, and He knew exactly what He was going to do. He cares, and He knows. It did not bother Him. That's why He was asleep. He knows exactly what He's going to do. He did not panic. He was not caught off guard. Oh, a storm. He was not. He was asleep. The storm didn't bother Him. The Bible says Jesus already knew what He was going to do even before the problem existed. Now, I want you to think of your worst situation in life. Think about some of the biggest problems that you ever faced. Problems with money, problems with sickness, problems with family, etc. And try to imagine the biggest problem that you could ever face in life. Try to imagine that. And with that in mind, understand this. Understand that for all those problems, every problem you ever experience and will ever experience, Jesus knew, Jesus knows exactly what's going to happen even before it happens. He knows. Before the problem, He already had a solution. Because He already knew what He was going to do. He already knew what was going to happen. Jesus knew. He was not caught off guard. It was all planned out. Before the problem, God had a solution. For every problem, God has a solution. Before the problem even ever existed, God had a solution in existence. God had a miracle prepared, a miracle in store, a miracle pre-planned. A miracle was already in the making even before the problem existed. It was all planned out.